Hello, everyone. I'm Ellen, and this is quiz class. Today we have 100 questions on the 1950s. So let's take a look at question number one. When did Althea Gibson win her first U.S. Open? 1951, 1957, or 1954? (1957). Who was the first U.S. president to visit India? Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, or Harry Truman? Dwight D. Eisenhower. Which political movement is associated with U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy? Feminism, Civil Rights Movement, or the Red Scare? The Red Scare. What phrase describes the sudden population increase after World War II? Baby burst, baby boom, or birth surge? Baby boom. Who is considered the father of American suburbia due to his real estate developments in the Northeast? William Levitt, Joseph Gordon Levitt, or Arthur Levitt? William Levitt. Which of these government benefits helped millions of veterans buy houses in the early 50s? Medicare, Social Security, or the GI Bill? The GI Bill. Who created the first successful polio vaccine in 1952? Alexander Fleming, Alfred Hershey, or Jonas Salk? Jonas Salk. Which country made a huge milestone in the space race when it launched Sputnik into orbit? Russia. What Looney Tunes character is an explorer in the 24th and a half century? Duck Dodgers, Daffy Duck, or Plucky Duck? Duck Dodgers. Who became the dictator of Cuba after leading a military coup and overthrowing Fulgencio Batista? Raul Castro, Fidel Castro, or Victor Emmanuel? Fidel Castro. Which 1956 Hitchcock film featured Doris Day singing Que Sera Sera? The Man Who Knew Too Much, The Wrong Man, or The Trouble with Harry? The Man Who Knew Too Much. What kind of censorship was imposed on Elvis Presley's first performance on The Ed Sullivan Show? Many of his lyrics were cut out, his outfit was blurred, or he was only shown from the waist up. He was only shown from the waist up. Which jazz artist released his album Unforgettable in 1952? Charlie Parker, Louis Armstrong, or Nat King Cole? Nat King Cole. Which young actor starred in the films Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden? Sal Mineo, Paul Newman, or James Dean? James Dean. Which long-running American game show premiered in 1956? The Price is Right, Jeopardy or the Wheel of Fortune? The Price is Right. Which famous actress married baseball player Joe DiMaggio in 1954? Rita Hayworth, Hedy Lamarr, or Marilyn Monroe? Marilyn Monroe. When did Disneyland open in Anaheim, California? April 1953, July 17th, 1955, or October 31st, 1968? July 17th, 1955. What musical term was coined by Cleveland disc jockey Alan Freed in 1951? Disco, rock and roll, or swing? Rock and roll. Which dog-related clothing item became popular in the 50s? Poodle skirts, corgi sweaters, or husky work pants? Poodle skirts. What mountain did Sir Edmund Hillary climb in 1953? Denali, Mount Everest, or Mount Fuji? Mount Everest. What 1957 Broadway musical features two immigrant teens in New York City struggling with forbidden romance? South Pacific, West Side Story, or Cats? West Side Story. Who became the premier of the Soviet Union in 1958 and immediately began his plans of de-Stalinization? Vladimir Lenin, Valentin Pavlov, or Nikita Khrushchev? Nikita Khrushchev. Which state did U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy represent from 1947 to 1957? California, Wisconsin, or Kansas? Wisconsin. Why did Rosa Parks become famous on December 1st, 1955? She gave a speech on women's rights, she defied bus segregation laws, or she broke a baseball pitching record. She defied bus segregation laws. What was the real name of cowboy performer Roy Rogers? Leonard Sly, Bill Hickok, or Jesse James? Leonard Sly. When was Queen Elizabeth II the Queen of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms? January 1950, March 1954, or February 1952? February 1952. Which country music singer recorded I Can't Help It If I'm Still in Love with You in 1951? Hank Williams, Loretta Lynn, or Johnny Cash? Hank Williams. Which plastic Whammo toy had millions of people gyrating their hips in the late 50s? The Frisbee, the hula hoop, or Super Ball? The hula hoop. Which American automobile manufacturer made the Edsel line of cars from 1956 to 1959? Stellantis, General Motors, or Ford Motor Company? Ford Motor Company. Which American actress became the Princess of Monaco on April 19th, 1956? Grace Kelly, Katharine Hepburn, or Judy Garland? Grace Kelly. What military abbreviation describes the main characters of the 1957 film The Bridge on the River Kwai? MIA, AWOL, or POW? POW. Who used the pen name Dr. Seuss when he published his first book, The Cat in the Hat, in 1957? Theodore Geisel, Ray Bradbury, or Walter Carrig? Theodore Geisel. What was the namesake of President Nixon's 1952 Checkers speech? A game, a fast food restaurant, or Nixon's dog? Nixon's dog. Who won the 1953 Academy Award for Best Actor for playing Will Kane in High Noon? Gary Cooper, Humphrey Bogart, or Dick Van Dyke? Gary Cooper. What was the last name of the family in the TV series Father Knows Best? Williams, Anderson, or Smith? Anderson. What humor magazine published its first edition in 1952? The Onion, Mad, or Saturday Evening Post? Mad. Why did President Truman fire General Douglas MacArthur at the height of the Korean War? MacArthur was insubordinate, Truman just didn't like him, or MacArthur was very unpopular? MacArthur was insubordinate. Why did the USS Nautilus make history in 1954? Its crew ended the Korean War, it was the first nuclear-powered submarine, or it dove 20,000 leagues under the sea. It was the first nuclear-powered submarine. Which country was not a founding member of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization? Thailand, Australia, or Vietnam? Vietnam. Which political conflict is featured in the 1957 novel Dr. Zhivago? World War II, the Crimean War, or the Russian Revolution? The Russian Revolution. Which literary conman was introduced in the 1955 novel by Patricia Highsmith? Tom Ripley, Jay Gatsby, or Roy Dillon? Tom Ripley. Which award-winning host started his career at a Miami radio station in 1957? Larry King, Ed Sullivan, or Johnny Carson? Larry King. What caused the tragic plane crash on the day the music died? Faulty equipment, forest fire, or severe weather? Severe weather. Which American newspaper printed Ann Landers' column? The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Chicago Sun-Times, or the New York Times? The Chicago Sun-Times. What is the collective name of the first men chosen for NASA's astronaut program? Mercury 7, Venus Trio, or Neptune 9? Mercury 7. Which consumer goods company produced the soap operas as The World Turns and The Edge of Night? Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, or Black & Decker? Procter & Gamble. What term was popularized by Chief Thunderthud on the Howdy Doody Show? Gnarly, cowabunga, or groovy? Cowabunga. Which line of latitude became the boundary between North and South Korea in 1953? The 49th parallel north, 38th parallel north, or 41st parallel north? 38th parallel north. Who was the host of the Today Show when it premiered in January 1952? Savannah Guthrie, Johnny Carson, or Dave Garroway? Dave Garroway. Which country was led by King Abdullah I when he was assassinated on July 20th, 1951? Lebanon, Jordan, or Iran? Jordan. Why did France and Britain invade Egypt in 1956? To gain control of the Suez Canal, to overthrow the government, or to steal more historical artifacts? To gain control of the Suez Canal. Which J.D. Salinger novel was published in 1951? Franny and Zooey, Raise High the Roof Beam, or The Catcher in the Rye? The Catcher in the Rye. Who did Rocky Marciano beat in his 49th and final boxing match on September 21st, 1955? Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, or Archie Moore? Archie Moore. Which brand made history in 1954 for being the first toothpaste with fluoride? Colgate, Crest, or Sensodyne? Crest. Which Supreme Court case's decision started the desegregation of American public schools in 1957? Plessy versus Ferguson, Loving versus Virginia, or Brown versus Board of Education? Brown versus Board of Education. Who was the first woman to break the sound barrier in an F-86 subrate jet? Jacqueline Cochran, Bessie Coleman, or Sally Ride? Jacqueline Cochran. What is generally considered the first major American credit card? MasterCard, Diners Club, or Visa? Diners Club. Which entertainment duo made the 1951 Broadway musical The King and I? Lerner and Loewe, Rodgers and Hammerstein, or Kander and Ebb? Rodgers and Hammerstein. What fast food chain opened its first restaurant in San Diego in 1951? Burger King, Dairy Queen, or Jack in the Box? Jack in the Box. Which constitution was adopted by the French government in 1958? The Constitution of the Second Empire, the Constitution of the Fifth Republic, or the Constitution of the Third Republic? The Constitution of the Fifth Republic. What is the common nickname of the 1959 debate between Richard Nixon and Nikita Khrushchev? The boardroom debacle, the kitchen debate, or the porch rant? The kitchen debate. Who recorded their first single, That's All Right, for Sun Records on July 5th, 1954? Sam Cooke, Frank Sinatra, or Elvis Presley? Elvis Presley. Which author published their most famous work, Invisible Man, in 1952? James Baldwin, Ralph Ellison, or H.G. Wells? Ralph Ellison. When did the Milwaukee Braves win their first and only World Series title? 1951, 1957, or 1954? (1957). Which show was the longest-running American Western series with a total of 635 episodes over 20 years? Bonanza, Have Gun Will Travel, or Gunsmoke? Gunsmoke. Where were the 1952 Summer Olympics held? Helsinki, Finland, Stockholm, Sweden, or Oslo, Norway? Helsinki, Finland. Which famous spy was introduced in Ian Fleming's 1953 novel Casino Royale? James Bond, Jack Ryan, or Jack Bauer? James Bond. What science project kit from Uncle Milton Toys became popular in the 50s? Sea monkeys, geode rocks, or ant farms? Ant farms. Where did Burger King open its first restaurant in 1954? Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois, or Miami, Florida? Miami, Florida. Which show sold branded merchandise such as comic books, decoder rings, and Secret Squadron plane sets? Captain Midnight, Star Trek, or Leave It to Beaver? Captain Midnight. Who was the original host of The Tonight Show when it premiered in 1954? Johnny Carson, Jack Paar, or Steve Allen? Steve Allen. Where can you typically find Saran Wrap, a Dow chemical product that was released in 1953? In the kitchen, on a bookshelf, or hanging in the closet? In the kitchen. Who became the first woman to achieve the Grand Slam in 1953? Maureen Connolly, Billie Jean King, or Althea Gibson? Maureen Connolly. Who was featured on the first issue of TV Guide on April 3rd, 1953? John F. Kennedy Jr., Desi Arnaz Jr., or Sammy Davis Jr.? Desi Arnaz Jr. What was the first color 3D movie released in the United States? Juana Devil, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, or The Power of Love? Juana Devil. The president of which country survived a grenade attack while visiting an elementary school on November 30th, 1957? Malaysia, Thailand, or Indonesia? Indonesia. Which movie won Best Picture in 1953, the first year that the Oscars were televised? Moulin Rouge, The Greatest Show on Earth, or Ivanhoe? The Greatest Show on Earth. Who plays the protagonist, Holland, in the 1951 comedy film The Lavender Hill Mob? Humphrey Bogart, Alec Guinness, or Gene Wilder? Alec Guinness. What popular Christmas song did Brenda Lee release in 1958? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Here Comes Santa Claus, or Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree? Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Who was the host of See It Now, a revolutionary news show that used its own footage and unrehearsed interviews? Edward R. Murrow, Fred W. Friendly, or Stephen A. Smith? Edward R. Murrow. What was the American television network that shut down in 1956 because it could not compete with NBC and CBS? Dumont, Paramount, or 3M? Dumont. What collectible item did Topps start selling in 1951? Rare coins, baseball cards, or glass figurines? Baseball cards. Which James Jones novel was released in 1951 and derives its title from the Rudyard Kipling poem Gentlemen Rankers? From Here to Eternity, Some Came Running, or The Thin Red Line? From Here to Eternity. What 1950s musical features the song Some Enchanted Evening? South Pacific, The King and I, or Bye Bye Birdie? South Pacific. Which high fantasy series started in 1954 and followed a fateful journey through Middle-earth? Dune, The Wheel of Time, or The Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings. Which character did not appear in the first Peanuts comic strip in October 1950? Charlie Brown, Snoopy, or Shermie? Snoopy. Who choreographed the most famous version of the Nutcracker, which premiered in New York City in 1954? Andrew Lloyd Webber, Alvin Ailey, or George Balanchine? George Balanchine. What was the name of the typhoon that hit Japan in 1959? Elaine, Caroline, or Vera? Vera. Who played the titular role in the 1953 film Calamity Jane? Rita Hayworth, Doris Day, or Lena Horne? Doris Day. What became the 50th state in the United States on August 21, 1959? Alaska, Hawaii, or Texas? Hawaii. Which Disney princess movie was released in 1950? Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, or Snow White? Cinderella. Question 92. What was the name of the first dog that went to space in 1957? Lassie, Liga, or Balto? Laika. Which toy has captivated young girls since 1959? Baby Alive, Barbie dolls, or Dollhouse? Barbie dolls. Which 1950s artist was known for canvases full of paint splatters and abstract shapes? William de Kooning, Andy Warhol, or Jackson Pollock? Jackson Pollock. Which 1950s historical film takes place in Jerusalem and features an epic chariot race? Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, or Alexander the Great? Ben-Hur. Which organization was formed in 1958 in response to Russian advancements in aerospace technology? UNICEF, NATO, or NASA? NASA. Which of these 1950s movies did not feature Marilyn Monroe? Niagara, Some Like It Hot, or To Catch a Thief? To Catch a Thief. What kind of frozen food was introduced by Swanson in 1953? Ice cream cake, TV dinners, or frozen peas? TV dinners. Which actress won an Oscar for her debut role in Roman Holiday in 1953? Audrey Hepburn, Judy Garland, or Grace Kelly? Audrey Hepburn. Which beauty pageant was first televised live from Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City in 1954? Miss USA, Miss America, or Miss Universe? Miss America. Bonus question, how many Oscars did Ben-Hur win? Hint, it was more than 10. Let us know the answer in the comments. And of course, how you ranked, how well you did. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We will see you in our next quiz. Bye-bye.